I think it is really important that we as a community understand how we are impacting our kids and our teenagers and our young adults. So how can a community like this be a part of bringing up kids to be people of peace?
I love this question. When you asked it the first time, I was like, oh, I know. Just like Sky was saying, your grandkids do not care if you bring them the fanciest presents. They like them. It's fun.
They kind of care.
They care a little bit. Your grandkids do not care if you show up to the very formal fancy dinner. Your grandkids and friends and all of those, they want to know if you know their favorite dinosaur. They want to know if you know their favorite color or their best friend's name or their teacher or their favorite thing to study in school. And all of those happen through honest, quiet, casual talking. Getting to know your kids the same way, and I'm using kids in all of those things, the same way you would get to know a friend, right? We so often are like, oh my goodness, I get to see my grandkids, they're gonna sit on my lap and we get to take a cute picture and I am such a good grandpa now. And that's great, and being
Excellent.
around them is wonderful, but being in their lives is so much more important. So as you're talking to them, they will share so much of their life with you. Most children, I'd say almost all children, will just sit and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And the ways that I know that you have a good relationship with them is if you can go to them and say, tell me more about the Brontosaurus. Tell me more about your friend's art project that you were talking about with me last week. Because your retention of their details, while they don't seem like big, giant, influential things, are so important to them, are so important to who they are as people. So I am a big fan of FaceTime. That is one of my favorite methods of communication with almost everybody in my life. And my kids have unfortunately picked up that habit from me. So very frequently I will walk in and my kids are like, anyway, Grammy, so then at school today, and they will be going through their whole day with my mom as she is going about her work or her house or whatever. And they have become so close to her, not because she spends tons of money on them, not because she stops doing life to go to dinner or things like that, but because she is willing to be a part of every little thing with them, and then we'll follow up with them and ask them about it and be part of it. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it completely changes their life because they now have this additional person that loves them and knows them and wants to know them and is interested in their things. So just as you're looking at kids, especially here at church too, we have so many busybodies who will run up and down and around and over. If you take just a minute and ask them about their day, about Valentine's Day, about the party they had at school, they will not only talk your ear off for a couple of minutes, but they will understand that you have an interest in who they are as a human, more than just what a cute little one we have here at church. So just talk and really listen on purpose.
If you can catch them.
If you can catch them. Good luck.
And as they get older, their excitement to tell you about their favorite dinosaur turns into the biggest eye rolls you've ever seen in your life. And we know that. And we know the human reaction is to go, fine, you don't want to talk to me. That's not what they said. They rolled their eyes at you. That's different. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. And it is amazing to me how much impact and influence a church community can have on kids and teenagers by noticing them, by paying attention, by making this space feel like a space they are welcomed in. I will just take a second to say, I think I've said this before, but if not, I definitely should say it more. I am aware that I am very privileged as a pastor to be here. And I'm not just saying that, I fully 110% believe this. That so many pastors raise their kids in churches where their kids and their family feel like they're on display and that everything has to be perfect and don't you dare make a mistake. And that is not our experience with this church. I'm convinced that while my kids are lovely and amazing, should they go sideways, please don't, should their lives go sideways, y'all would still love them. And I know that, and they know that. And I can't tell you thank you enough for that. Now, part of it, we have a joke in our house that I'm a pastor's kid. Of course you know me, and I have no idea who you are. Because that happens. They get stopped as they go bounding through this building, and people want to talk to them and say hi at the very least, or ask them some question about dance or whatever, which goes right to what Madison was talking about. It's great. They may have no idea who you are, and that's okay. They know that you're that person at church who asked them about dance. And if they look at you like they're answering that question for the 8th time that day, they might be. That's okay. Please keep asking them, because the more they talk to you about it, the less I have to. I'm just kidding. No, they are aware, and I'm aware as a parent, that it would be hard for my kids to have a more stable community than y'all. And I'm really, really grateful for that. And it comes from being intentional about caring about them. It comes from the ministries that they're involved in, being intentional about caring about them, and finding this to be a safe space. Sky, I know that one of the values in your youth ministry, and one of the values for me as well in the years I was doing youth ministry, is providing a safe space, not just physically and emotionally, but like a safe space for doubts and for questions and for wrestling with stuff. Why is that? Why does that matter?
I think if we want our kids to genuinely follow Jesus, that's a decision they have to make on their own. And that can be terrifying, to realize that you can't make that choice for them. But part of the messy process of them trusting God for themselves is that they have to walk through questions that may be very scary for you to hear about whether God is good or whether he exists or what the Bible says about this or that. If we do not provide space for even just people, but for kids to wrestle with their doubts about God, about their relationship with him, or what that looks like, I don't think we create opportunities for them to have peace. In my experience, particularly with young adults, both when I was a young adult and still hearing about young adults, when we suppress questions, either they get out of the house and they realize that, no, I have a ton of questions about life, about God, and it just doesn't make sense, and so I'm just going to throw it all away. It's stupid. The other side of it is then they essentially become very religious, where there's still this fear of having questions or doubts, but they suppress it, and so then life becomes about doing certain things or not doing certain things or having the right facts to know, and it's just this us versus them mentality of like, I know, like I have to be on the good side, but I don't know. Sorry, my brain's not working this morning. But
Sky's fighting sick this morning.
It's the plague.
Pray for him. Just don't let him breathe on you. That's where we're at.
Sorry. She was sick already, so she's immune.
Yeah, you're fine.
Growing up, I had a youth pastor who over and over again would say that God's never afraid of our questions. And so I always knew, like I could go to him or to my young adult pastor with anything, even if it was like basic, like, does God actually exist? And actually wrestle with that. And oftentimes they would just provide space for me to speak and kind of just be there and bounce off what I was saying. Like it wasn't a matter of like, oh, okay, you have a question, but now let me just kind of floor you with the right answer. Like there has to be that genuine wrestling. Like it is a journey, and that journey may take a very long time. And again, for parents, for pastors, like that, the length of the journey can be scary. But we can't give up. We want to be present. We want to listen, and we also want to like model the way of Jesus to them through it. I think going back to the question of like why we need the larger church is that kids hear a lot about who Christians are or what they believe through social media, through their friends or whatnot. Like they need a group of people who are determined to follow the way of Jesus, who show God's love to them and his grace and his mercy. And even when it's hard, like they don't have that outside the church, I guess, right? They're not going to find it on the internet. Like they really need you all, even if you don't interact with them that much. Like they need to see what it looks like to follow Jesus. And to know that, man, our whole youth ministry is built around this idea, I think. We have 8 amazing volunteers, all the way from well-aged, like fine
Like
wine.
fine wine, yep,
Like
there you
fine
go.
wine, all the way into early 20s. And part of the beauty of that is that each of our relationships with God is just a different facet, right, of what it looks like to walk with him. But we've also gone through a lot of these questions as well. And so we can hold space for them. And then as they learn to trust us and know that we genuinely care, like they will share their journey with us. And we can step in and say, yeah, I also wrestled with that question too.